Welcome to War Room Impeachment, 25 November, year of our Lord 2019, episode 47. By the way, 47 is one of my lucky numbers. Live at the Breitbart Embassy, John Fredericks Radio Network, Salem Broadcasting, America's Voice.News, and Newsmax TV. Raheem Kassam, Nigel Farage's wingman who ran all the media strategy for the rise of the UKIP movement, the populist movement in England, and also was the mastermind, one of the masterminds in back of Brexit. I guess Dominic Cummings and Raheem Kassam, we owe that to. Also now joined by one of our War Room stalwarts and the guy who ran the rapid response for the 2018 campaign for Cortes, which is our not-for-profit, our NGO, I guess it is. As we made the movie Trump at War and took it throughout the nation and tried to fight in those 31 districts that we lost. I think we lost all of them. I think we won like 5, and we'll go through those later of the 40 we went to. Jack Maxey. Okay, we're trying something different this hour. We're going to take callers. We got Steve Cortes on the phone. We're going to get to in a minute. Steve Cortes got a great article on Real Clear Politics about, is the Trump movement a cult or just a group of deplorables that are outsiders, outside of the mainstream media, outside the Beltway? Our number is 888-480-5646. We apologize that we got limited capacity on the board, but just keep calling and hopefully get you on there. And once you get on, we'll try to slide you in here. Raheem, who's our first caller?
I want to go to Jay on line 1, calling from Melbourne in Florida. Do we have Jay on line 1?
You certainly do. Are you kidding?
Hey, Jay.
The only way you get me off the line is if I'm dead.
How you doing, brother? What do you got for us, Jay?
Okay. I think we need to activate and energize the base to confront the 31 Dems in the red district.
Okay. How?
We got to call their office. Let me just tell you one thing really quickly.
Yep.
When you call a representative's office, you get an answer right away. You don't go to a machine. You don't go to a tape. You get one of their training people. What do they call them?
Interns. One of the you get an intern.
Interns.
Yep.
Immediately, it takes you 20 seconds to reach any representative during business hours.
Jay, why do you think this? Why do you think this is important that people contact these 31 representatives? Why do you think it's important?
31 representatives are shaking in their boots. They don't know what the hell to do. They're hoping they get out of this without a problem because they're going to lose their office. There's no way they're going to be reelected if they vote for impeachment.
Do you believe, Jay, do you believe that this is the heart of what this impeachment battle is over? It's the battleground states, the battleground district. They went for Obama twice, Trump in 16, flipped back to the Democrats. It controls the House, and who controls the House controls appropriations and investigations. Do you believe this is the center heart of what we're fighting for right now?
Absolutely. There is this is about the government. The whole government is at stake here. Because we all know impeachment's the last resort. I don't even think Nixon should have been impeached.
Jay, we love you. Thank you for calling. Thank you for listening. Jay from Melbourne, Florida. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Fantastic call. Let's go. I tell you what, we got Steve Cortes has a meeting he has to go to. He's one of the rock stars. He was central to us in the 2016 campaign. He's got a great piece on Real Clear Politics we're going to put up on the site. Steve, are you there?
I sure am. Good morning, Stephen Raheem.
Brother Cortes, there's 3 things I got to get through, Cortes, because you're a rare commodity. You're a CNN contributor. You're on the Hispanic Advisory Committee for the president. You're one of our stalwarts from 2016. There's no better, and you've opened for President Trump now, I think, in a half a dozen of these massive rallies that I see you. You're Natalie-attired Steve Cortes.
It's been my honor.
You're okay. A couple things. Talk to us about this piece up in Real Clear Politics. Why did you do it? What does it say?
So I just put this up this morning, Real Clear Politics. Trump backers aren't a cult, but we are the outsiders. The reason I put this up, I've noticed over the last week, a recurring theme in mainstream media is that they're starting to call us a cult. Dan Rather was the first person I saw do it. Then Weaver did it in the Washington Post. And most blatantly, I think, was yesterday on CNN on my network, Reliable Sources show hosted by Brian Stelter. They actually hosted an author whose book was titled, guess what, The Cult of Trump. And they're increasingly using this. It's really, Steve, it's the politics of vilification. They want to demonize us. They want to borrow a term from the left, they want to otherize us. And make us seem as though we're somehow mentally unwell, and that we've fallen for something that is a cult rather than a political movement. So I'm punching back very hard at this and saying, look, we are the outsiders. A theme, a metaphor I used a lot in 2016, which I think is still true today. is from the S.E. Hinton novel, The Outsiders. It was my favorite book in high school. We're the greasers when it comes to politics, all right? The socias are the mainstream media and the Washington permanent political class, and the socias can't stand the greasers. They couldn't in 2016, and they still can't. But I'm saying we should embrace this. We are the outsiders. Be proud to be the greasers, the deplorables, the irredeemables. The media, in a twisted way, is right in that sense, but they're wrong. We're not a cult.
By the way, the reason this is important, people, for War Room Impeachment, is Steve Cortes, along with Raheem Kassam and Jason Miller, my two wingmen, and then we had Steve in studio last week. Steve Cortes is one of the most sophisticated of the media strategists out there. In fact, Steve was a guy that was on the short list to actually be comms director, but he had other stuff he was working on. He's a contributor at CNN right now. We want to, by the way, this is a real war room. We're actually very near the Capitol. You're always going to hear ambient noise. We've got trucks all over the place all the time, construction going on and other things. So it's an active group up here on the Capitol. So if you ever hear any noise in the background, just remember it's what's going on near your nation's capital. Steve, here's how did the impeachment entire TV production they ran re-emphasize this thing about insiders and outsiders?
Right. Well, you know what it did? I think, and they unwittingly did us a favor, the Democrats, and this is, in my opinion, the polling is showing this. What they did is they highlighted to the country, and particularly the independents, that they're obsessed with removing Trump by, extra electoral means, but the country isn't. And the stat I'll give you.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? That was kind of a big word. Extra. Explain that. Dumb that down for me.
Instead of beating us in an election, instead of waiting till November and beating us on policy, on merits in an election next November, they have tried since the day he was elected to take Trump out by other means. And what I'm saying is the circus that we saw last week on Capitol Hill, it clearly did not resonate with voters. And in fact, the data so far has shown us the opposite. Vanity Fair, very liberal magazine that hates Donald Trump, put a whole story forth about this, and they cited the Political Morning Consult poll. Independents in that poll, so not people leaning toward Trump, but independents said by a 3-to-1 ratio that impeachment is more important to politicians and more important to media than it is to me, than it is to those voters. When they also asked them to rank impeachment in terms of its importance as an issue for 2020, they gave them 11 total choices. It was dead last, 11 of 11 choices, way behind things that actually matter to them, like healthcare, like immigration. So I think what we see again is this is a tale of two cities, which is another metaphor, another book metaphor that I like to use. You've got the city of Washington, which is obsessed with impeachment and obsessed with the real chicanery of Capitol Hill, and then you've got the rest of the country.
You've got the city of Washington. You've got the city of Washington, and then you have the city on the hill, which is America, right? You have the city on the hill, which Reagan described, and our Pilgrim Fathers described. The city on the hill, and you have the swamp, and the city of Washington D.C. Those things have two different dynamics.
Yes, because the city on the hill right now, Steve Bannon, it is thriving. Wages are rising. Confidence is soaring. This is a country that is working, that is busy, that is, I believe, going to shop for Christmas. This is a country that is revitalized in many ways. You would never know that if you only paid attention to Capitol Hill or New York newsrooms. You wouldn't know that. But if you get out into this country, into, as you say, the city on the hill, the other city, as it were, of America, it's a city that is really, really thriving, and I believe for that reason will reelect Donald Trump in 2020.
Before we let you bounce, because we got callers are lit up, and our board is 888-480-5646. We have Steve Cortes, CNN contributor, senior communications person associated with the Trump campaign, one of the great guys we had on the campaign in 2016 when we had the great comfort from behind victory. Steve, two other things quickly. People don't realize you're one of the smartest financiers in the country and a smart hedge fund guy. The stock market. How's the stock market? Stock market is usually a good indicator in the money markets throughout the world. The dollar. How's the world responding to shifts? 2 weeks of hearings.
Right. The markets have been oblivious, and so far correctly so. And what I'm telling you is, as we're speaking right now, stocks are printing all-time highs. But it's not just that. That's great news, Steve. But I'm glad you mentioned the rest of the world, because compared to the rest of the world, how much better we're doing. The U.S. is really an island of growth. For example, if we compare it to China, 10 years ago, the Shanghai Composite, which is sort of their Dow Jones average, it is lower now than it was 10 years ago for China, lower in the last 10 years. Our Dow Jones 10 years ago was at 10,000. It's now at 28,000. It has almost tripled. So not only are we doing great, but compared to the rest of the world, we're just an absolute, oasis.
And one of the reasons President Trump has the head of the Fed in all the time is really his success. Is the dollar is so strong, and this is people vote on Donald Trump's economy globally every day. They want in on the action, don't they, Mr. Cortes?
Money pours into this country. I mean, it's literally for a lot of international fund managers, and I talk to them every day, all over the world. For a lot of them, it is literally the only place to put money.
And here's why they pours in, because of the deplorables, because of the safety, the security, the strength of the United States of America, and that is on the backs and shoulders of the working men and women of this country. Last thing, Mr. Cortes, because I know you and I spend a lot of time focused throughout the world. A populist revolt yesterday in Hong Kong. And I got to tell you, folks, if you don't feel good going into Thanksgiving, look at what the young men and women in Hong Kong have done yesterday. They, against all odds, the CCP in Beijing thought they had these local elections, these council elections, 47% increase on voting. I think 72% of the people in Hong Kong eligible to vote voted blowout numbers for the democracy movement. How do you view that, Steve?
Oh, yeah, listen, it's amazing news, and it's Hong Kong first, right? It's their version of America first. It's their version of deplorables, of people rising up against an administrative state that has been abusive to them. Far more abusive, obviously, than our administrative state, but still, some of the dynamics are similar. This is populist nationalism. In this case, it's really a nationalism of Hong Kong as a city-state. As a country within a country that was very different and wants to continue to be very different. And look, it was exhilarating, as you say. And I think when we give our thanks at our Thanksgiving table for this country, we should also give thanks for young patriots. And it's mostly young people, by the way. We love to rip on millennials, we middle-aged guys. Those are some millennials over there who are doing brave.
Yeah, if you're a boomer and you think the millennials don't know what they're talking about, look the millennials in Hong Kong are exactly analogous to the patriots of 1775 and 1776. They're fighting for the rule of law. They're fighting for free market capitalism. They're fighting essentially for their Bill of Rights. And this is amazing. And they're prepared to lay down their lives in the streets of Hong Kong. And yesterday they went to the ballot box and blew out President Xi and Wang Qishan and the rest of these devils that make up the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing. And I got to tell you, it's an inspiration everywhere. Cortes, how do people get to you? You got a Twitter handle?
I do. At Cortes Steve, Cortes with an S, at Cortes Steve, and my new article about the outsiders stay gold Trump is on Real Clear Politics.
Well, we're going to link to it to warroom.org. Steve Cortes, thank you. Cortes, one of the smartest financial guys, political guys, commentators out there. You ought to get in radio, Cortes. You got a voice for it.
And a face.
El Robusto. See you later, brother. Thank you very much. Okay, Steve Cortes. Hopefully making him a regular on here. Who's our next caller we got up here?
Yeah, we have a number of callers on the line. I want to go to Frank in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I believe Frank is on line 2.
Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's the home of the 82nd Airborne. Is that correct?
It is the 82nd Airborne and the Special Operations Command. When the Pentagon dials 911, we answer the call in favor.
Good man. So, Frank, how can we help you this morning?
I'm the local Tea Party leader, and I've been doing this for a long time. And for 8 years, while President Obama was in office, and doing what we thought were unconstitutional things, the guidance we always got back from Jenny Beth Martin and her team was, you don't pursue impeachment unless you're going to win. It's a fool's errand to take half a shot.
You mean this is about potentially impeaching President Obama at the time?
Yeah. Why is it different now when it's President Trump? Why is it not a fool's errand for the Democrats to pursue impeachment?
Well, you tell me, Frank, very quickly. You tell me, because North Carolina is now a battleground state. Initially, President Trump looks like you have a real struggle down in North Carolina. In North Carolina, I think we only won by 1.5 points. There's going to be a number of these congressional seats up, and quite frankly, in these special elections, what had heretofore been solid Republican districts have been real dogfights. So what's going on in North Carolina? Don't you think they're doing this politically to set the table?
Yeah, it's a separate issue, and it's right. You're asking the right question. We are under the Obama Holder program. It's called Sue Until Blue. It's constant redistricting. It's constant suing the map makers. And we just went through a round of that there's 2 rounds of it going on right now, both the state legislative districts and the federal.
So how do you think, we got so many calls, Frank, let me ask you a question. How is impeachment playing right now in the great state of North Carolina? How are Tar Heels thinking about this right now as we go into Thanksgiving week, given all the things that happened, the 6 weeks that Nancy Pelosi had free shots on goal, the 2 weeks of Adam Schiff's Moscow show trials? What do the people down in North Carolina think?
People don't care about the impeachment. And I'm a different person because I'm a junkie. I'm on the news. I got it. But the average person that works in the store down at the PX, okay, who goes to work every day, gets up and does their job, and probably voted for President Trump because they see or will support President Trump because they see their wages increasing and more jobs available, doesn't care.
Frank, thank you so much. That's Frank in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We're going to try to roll this quick. We got Jack Maxey. Jack Maxey, got some breaking news?
No, I want to bring Jack in on that point, on Frank's point, that people don't care. Jack, you handed me a piece of paper on Saturday afternoon, I think it was, talking about these New Jersey voters that had been
Frank down in Fayetteville, thank you very much. So, Jack, what do you got for us?
There was a report done by the House Majority Forward, one of these dark funded groups.
Dark money.
And they did a focus groups down in New Jersey, mostly white Democrat voters. They couldn't find
working class or middle class?
Working class, middle class voters. They could not find one person who did not support the Trump's border wall. Most of them could care less about the impeachment. All of them feel that the economy is doing well.
Was this a Democratic group that did this?
This was a Democratic group.
Okay, let's get this up. You guys speaking to the mic there, Jack. I know you too much time in the war room for Jack. Now you're on broadcast.
A Democrat group with...
that is a face for radio.
I mean, this is just insane.
Where did you get the beard from? You came in 18. You were squared away. You look like a You come back here. You spend a few. We let you go a few months sailing, and you come back here. You look like a pirate.
This is the equivalent of going to Afghanistan right now. You know, we're fighting the Taliban, mate.
Hold it. Go back to this. But go back to because I tell you, there's so much interesting information that coming out in the crosstabs of these reports. What do you got, Raheem?
Yeah, let me read from it just here real quick. On the subject of impeachment, almost nobody in the groups said they are intentionally following impeachment news. Several are avoiding it. There was a great deal of ambivalence about impeachment, and apparently more support for dropping it than pursuing it. And now
this goes to what Vanity Fair had, what Cortes mentioned, the Vanity Fair report, that people are, one of the big things that's killing the Democrats are people think there's too many investigations, they all mold together, they don't know what's going on.
Hang on. Let's be clear about something. Vanity Fair's article came out on November the 21st. War Room Impeachment talked about this poll in the crosstabs on November the 19th.
I know that. It's
just
good.
saying.
It's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Let's stop Vanity Fair.
War.org.
But it's fair to say that when Vanity Fair is concerned about this stuff, that's when the Democrats starting to realize about it. There's an NBC News op-ed right now by Noah Rothman, and the headline is Democrats' bribery impeachment strategy is an unforced error with sobering consequences, and it lays this whole thing out again.
And Noah Rothman is a known Trump hater, a never Trumper.
He was probably at George Conway's party. There was, we'll get to that. There was the end line of this op-ed says, if the impeachment of Donald Trump ends in his acquittal in the Senate and re-election next November, the ultimate check on the presidency will be all but neutralized. And he talks about where it all went wrong.
Rothman's a smart guy, but he's a never Trumper.
He reckons where it all went wrong was this shift from the original impeachment charges to the bribery charge. He's basically making the case that we made earlier this week or last week on the show, that bribery may be great for CNN and great for New York Times headlines. It lends towards those great Watergate front pages, right? But it doesn't stack up, and it doesn't make Republicans like Will Hurd want to support the Democrats in this process. And that's what
he's saying when they shifted off quid pro quo to bribery.
Yeah.
The reason they did that, they poll tested bribery was a simpler term to understand. Noah Rothman's making the case,
but a harder case to make.
Harder case to make. Brother Noah Rothman, who's no Trump lover, on NBC News. Our numbers 888-480-5646, John Fredericks Radio Network, and America's Voice.news, also Salem Radio and Newsmax TV. I want to thank the folks at John Fredericks and at AmericasVoice.news for making this happen. 2 hours of bonus coverage today so we can hear the voice of America. Do we have other callers lined up
We
here?
have loads of callers. In fact, I'm getting complaints from the production staff that there are too many, but there can never
be too many. Let's roll the next one.
If you want to hit us, 888-480-5646. Let's go to Scott in Virginia Beach on line 2. Scott, do we have you, sir?
Hello, good. How are you?
Hey, Scott, how can we help you, sir?
Oh, well, I think I heard on your show, I think it was episode 42, just in passing, one of the guys say that Schiff is the whistleblower. And I suspect that that might be true. I think that's why I'm calling.
Scott, what do you mean by that? Unpack that for us. We know that there was a whistleblower who went to Adam Schiff's staff. What do you mean when you say Schiff is the whistleblower?
Well, I believe there's a good chance it's the other way around, that Schiff is the one who had the informants, the colleagues, in contact with the U.S. officials, and then he found somebody just to put their name on a complaint that he wrote.
Do you think it's legitimate? Donald Trump said yesterday, the president said yesterday, he's reemphasizing that Schiff should be called to testify if there is a trial, if the impeachment actually goes through, the articles of impeachment, which we think it is because Pelosi's got the votes, at least right now. Do you believe that Adam Schiff, who's going to prosecute the case at the trial in the Senate, do you think he ought to be called as a witness?
Absolutely.
Why?
I believe he's a fact witness. I believe he's more involved than just running his committee.
Okay, Scott, thank you very much. Scott from Virginia Beach. We're on the John Fredericks Radio Network on AmericasVoice.news. It's Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam, Stephen K. Bannon here on War Room Impeachment Special Caller Show. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll return in a moment.
War Room Impeachment. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Impeachment, 25 November, the year of our Lord 2019, episode 47. Here from the Breitbart Embassy, John Fredericks Radio Network, Salem Broadcast Radio Network, AmericasVoice.news, Newsmax TV, Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam with me in the War Room. Okay, numbers 888-480-5646. I want to apologize. We're going to have to really rip through callers. The boards are not just overwhelmed. They're melting down, so we're going to go through. We've got to keep it brief, but let's go to Chris in Pittsburgh. Chris in Pittsburgh, you're on War Room Impeachment. How can we help you, sir?
That's line 3.
Chris
3 in Pittsburgh. Chris, do we have you?
Hi, how are you doing today?
There we go.
Hey, good, sir. How you doing?
Very good.
Okay, what do you got for us?
Just wanted to bring to your attention yesterday's post.
I tell you what, can you cut the radio down in the background? We're hearing the feedback on our show. Just hit mute.
Steve.
Okay, we're gonna coach up all the callers. Keep the radios down, and be on the trigger. Okay, Chris, what do you got?
Yesterday's Pittsburgh Post-Gazette called Connor Lamb he said it sees himself as a tight-lipped juror. Sean Parnell running against him in the 17th here, I think has a pretty good shot, pretty dynamic candidate and he's already been putting pressure on him to.
Are people out there? Connor Lamb is historic because of that special election. Are people out in? How do people think about this impeachment process right now out in the greater Pittsburgh area, sir?
Typically, Democrat area, but blue collar area, and what's raising the wages out here? Natural gas production. Mayor of Pittsburgh, all these Democrats, Mike Doyle, they're all pushing Green New Deal, basically trying to flatline every union worker in this area, traditional Democrat voters, and people are starting to get wound up. I work in the gas business, always voted Republican, but a lot of these middling people, or not even voters basically, are steamed that these people are trying to cut their legs because people are eating good out here with this gas business.
That's fantastic, Chris. Let me ask you: Are they following? Are people out there, particularly blue collar Democrats, are they following this impeachment process? And did they tune in last week or the last 2 weeks for the hearings?
Most think that it's going to end up as everyone else does. That if they impeach him, it's going to be status quo. But they're pushing back against these people specifically because of their
their attitudes, Democrats, Mayor Peduto out here, I mean, they're taking radical, like trying to ban fracking in western Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So these people are making good
In
money.
Western-
It's not just...
Chris, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
right.
Chris in Pittsburgh, thank you. By the way, Pennsylvania can be the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. This could lead to a energy revolution in this country. America, not just energy independent, but American energy dominant. Our number is 888-480-5646. Okay, folks, when you get called on, you got to be on the trigger. I want to go to Todd in Maryland. Todd in Maryland, you're on War Room Impeachment. How can we help you, sir?
Line 1.
Line 1. I'm sorry.
Hi,
How you doing, sir?
hello.
Hey,
Is this Steve?
this is Brahim, Steve, Jack. We got them all.
Okay.
And the nation.
All right, nation. How you doing? This is Chris in Massachusetts. I want to tell you, I'm listening to every show. Also, I was a Democrat in 2016. Was blown away when Trump won. Began to reevaluate my thinking, and am now Republican, and will be proudly voting for him in 2020.
Why he's getting impeached? Why are you going to vote for him?
Because the Democratic Party's acting like a criminal organization.
Well, you're a Democrat. You're a Democrat. Tell me about
No,
that.
I'm not anymore. I switched.
Why'd you switch?
Because I started reevaluating my own assumptions about what I was thinking, and began to listen to the other side, like yourself, and became persuaded, listened to people on the other side, like yourself, and became persuaded.
So what do you
That's
think?
not
So
really
Chris,
why I
so Chris, what do you think about this impeachment process?
Oh, it's a sham.
Why?
I mean, it's funny. Well, I mean, the whole Schiff thing, the way he's kind of, just what you guys talk about, how he huddles down in his little hole, figures out what he wants to do, leaks it out to the people, what he wants people to hear, doesn't put all the testimony out, won't let the president have, or the Republicans consider interviewing Biden and all of that.
Do you
stuff.
think I said it on Maria Bartiromo yesterday, that Joe Biden, not his son Hunter should definitely, but should Senator Biden, if there is a trial, do you support that Senator Biden would be called to the trial and have to answer questions?
Sure, after they've interviewed his son, and depending on what he says.
Okay, good. Chris, thank you so much. I want to appreciate it. Do we have Todd in Maryland? Is Todd in Maryland still with us?
Todd in Maryland should be on the line. It's line 1. Can we
Line
get Todd
one,
in Maryland?
line 1 for Todd in Maryland. Todd in Maryland, you're on War Room Impeachment. How can we help you, brother?
I guess there's a problem with line 1.
Todd in Maryland on line 1. Okay, let's go to, who else do we have? Colonel Mike in West Virginia.
Colonel Mike in West Virginia is on line 2. Let's try and get Colonel Mike on.
Can we get line 2, Colonel Mike in West Virginia?
Steve, how are you? This is Colonel Mike. I'm up in Morgantown. I'm out here in America. First, I want to congratulate you guys on a great show. You're doing a great job.
Colonel Mike, you're in West by God, Virginia. That is God's country, sir.
We call it Best Virginia now, Steve. It's called Best Virginia.
As a native Virginian, that's what that was one of the worst elements when you guys broke off. But how can we help you today, sir? How can we help you, Colonel?
Well, I wanted to call in and say thank you. You're doing a great job. It's great that you're doing the initial caller day. I guess this is your first day you're doing it.
Yes.
You guys do it once in a while. But I watched you about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was watching you on the YouTube that you did with Maria Bartiromo yesterday.
Yep.
And I almost fell off the bed, and I'm saying, what did he just say? Steve, you said that you don't question their patriotism, the people that are on the panel, the people that are doing these hearings. I do.
Why?
I do, because I see these people on there as part of sedition in America.
Wow.
These people were part of a silent coup, and I think most Americans in middle America and out here, when we see this differently than inside the Beltway, Steve, and you know how the tunnel is.
Colonel, let me ask you, you're Army or Marine Corps Colonel or Air Force?
This is an honorary title. I got this from the governor. It's an honorary title.
Okay, fine. So, but why do you think people like Ambassador Taylor, who's a West Point grad, fought in Vietnam with the 101st. You've got Vindman, who was wounded in Iraq. You've got these other people at the State Department that have served their country for 30, 40, 50 years. Why do you be specific? Why are they not patriots?
Why are they not patriots? Look at what they're doing. They're part of this coup. They're saying that the president was doing all. It's just like the Gang of Eight, Steve. Mark Warner and John McCain and all them. I'm sure you.
Well, they're not guilty. The Gang of Eight is not guilty of sedition, are they?
No, but the Gang of Eight was part of this Russian hoax, and what they're doing is they're just extending this. And I believe we're, if you want to call it like close to the Civil War, Lincoln had almost the same amount of insurrection going on at the time.
When was that? I agree with you 1,000%. When did that? Around Antietam, right?
Yeah, I mean he had the same amount. Trump is facing unbelievable odds against, but Americans, Steve, I mean you're doing a great job, and John Frederick is doing a great job. Americans see this much differently.
We're doing a great job. John Frederick is, okay.
No, I mean, you're on the network.
No, we're kidding. We're kidding. Colonel Mike, we got to jump. We got Elaine on line 4 from Pennsylvania. Thank you, Colonel Mike. We got Elaine in line. By the way, we want you to call, be opinionated on the trigger. You're going to get pushback. That's the way we roll here. Elaine on line 4 in Pennsylvania. Elaine, what part of Pennsylvania are you from?
Hi, Steve. I represent Southern Chester County,
okay,
right on the border of Maryland and Delaware.
Wow.
The home of Biden. And let me tell you what, we all know what they're about. I work for a very liberal corporation, plus I have a farm, and I interact with a lot of farmers and horse people. And no one is on the liberal side is even interested in these impeachment processes.
Hold it, slow down for a second. Hang on, slow down. You're saying your friends that are liberals that are either farmers or the horse set out there in horse country, even the liberals are not interested in the impeachment process?
Correct. They don't talk about it. A few years ago, it was constant chatter, when Trump was running. Now there is no mention of the impeachment. I just listen. I can't talk to a liberal, as you know, but I just listen because that's what I do, just to get a feel for it. I don't hear one thing about impeachment. The economy here is doing so well. The young people that for the company I work for, which is huge, just got a government contract, okay? Their wages, they're putting money in their pocket. The young people are so confused on what's going on in this country.
What do you mean they're confused? We got to jump to another caller, but Elaine, hang on. When you say they're confused, what do you mean they're confused?
Because the universities are telling them, if you're a conservative, you're the devil. At the same time, they're actually seeing their paychecks and their wages go up. They're seeing, and they don't like the idea that free speech is being, punched out. So there's a mass confusion there.
But you're saying across the board, from the horse set to the young kids coming to college, and where you are in that part of Pennsylvania, where kind of Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, all kind of come together.
Okay, let me straighten this out.
Okay.
Maryland, Delaware, and Southern Chester County and Northern Chester County.
The economy's good there.
The economy is good. Predominantly, we're Democrats because we have Philadelphians moved out because the city now is a sanctuary city, all right? 86% of the people voted back in the mayor. And then those people, because of the city now, you can't even walk down the street without being murdered, moved out to the suburbs, bringing their policies with them. But now the younger people that I work with, the horse countries, the farmers, all these people, anybody who is a liberal, they're not mentioning any impeachment processes or any processes that have to do with Trump.
Okay, Elaine, thank you very much. Elaine from Pennsylvania, appreciate it. We got to be a little quick on the trigger here. We're starting to get blowback from other callers that are trying to call in that can't get in. 888-480-5646. You're on War Room Impeachment. When you call in, make sure you're quicker than Jack Maxey was when we tossed the ball to him momentarily ago. Raheem, who do we got? The guy in Seattle we don't have anymore?
We got the drop from the guy in Seattle. Look, there's callers.
Nationwide.
Well, here's the thing. Just very quickly before we go on to callers, this is interesting. Our phone lines are inundated right now. People have a lot to say and they have a lot to get off their chests. Why is it, Steve? You've been doing this for a very long time. We did it on the old show as well. You did it, what was the show you started off way back there in Los Angeles?
Victory Sessions on KABC on Sunday afternoons after Dodger baseball.
There you go. And you've done this for a long time now. What I can hear the urgency in people's voices when they want to get something off their chest, when they want to say something. What is that? What is going on out there?
Here's what I think,
how they're
because
saying
I don't think people have gone out and said, hey, tell us what you think. People, and this is what the reason we started this show a couple weeks ago was there has to be a sense of urgency. Everything we've heard today so far is great. It's got that intensity, it has that energy, has that urgency. Who are we going to go to next, Raheem?
We've got Seattle back.
Seattle. Oh, Martin in Seattle. Martin in Seattle.
Line 4.
You're on War Room Impeachment. How can we help you, brother?
Steve, I've been trying to get a hold of you guys. I've been sending you guys process servers and everything else.
Okay.
You started something, now let's finish it. What happened when the last time that people had the problem with the government, they declared an independence. That independence was written on parchment that was called a bill in peace in equity jurisprudence. This is the law of the land. The people, but see.
What, Martin? Hang on. Be specific. We're pressed for time. Be specific when you talk about that. It kind of sounds very historical, but I'm already getting glazed over looks by here, guys in the War Room. What do you mean?
Raheem, is he on the internet?
Raheem's right here. Yep.
Okay, Raheem, I want you to go to usarchives.gov.
Okay, Martin, want to thank you. We're going to have to. I tell you, Martin, we need you to email us this. We got so many guys up here.
Yeah, Martin, go on to the latest warroom.org post. Martin, if you post everything in the Discuss comment section, I will be sure to look out for it right now.
And we'll put it up.
We don't want to get that much into the gory detail right here. I want to go to.
I knew going to Seattle was going to be a risk. I didn't know
going to Seattle would involve parchment.
No. By the way, I love it, Martin. You get it to us. We're going to go through it. We'll get it up on the site, and we'll have it. But I'm a native Virginian, so you were getting very Williamsburgy there.
Well, that's another point, though, isn't it? This comes back to what I was just saying. People are so they feel like they want to get all these things, and that's not to say Martin didn't have a good point, but it's one of those points.
Absolutely.
Develop it in the comments section at warroom.org. This is going to be the place where all of you look. It's no one thing talking to us. You guys got to talk to each other as well and coordinate amongst yourselves, right?
Amen.
Let's go to Hector on line 3. Hector is in Dallas. Hector, do we have you, sir? Hector on line 3.
Hi.
Hey, Hector.
How's it going, Steve?
Hey, Hector. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. So just basically quick about it. A little bit of my background. I'm going to switch it up from the impeachment. But I just really wanted to ask you what the fight is going to look like in the future. So I'm in my mid-20s, about to get married. I've been getting a lot more involved into politics. My family immigrated to this country when I was 4 years old. Raised dirt poor in McAllen, Texas, and went to university, got a good education, got a good job. And now when I'm out and about socializing with people, it's kind of annoying when I hear all this privilege talk, and I'm kind of just fed up with it. And then people just invalidate, one, my education, but then two, my life experience.
Hector, hang over a second. When you say annoyed about the current situation, what do you mean? That people feel about privilege? You feel that other people feel too privileged and haven't had to come from more of a hard scrabble background yourself and really had to, by the sweat on your own brow and the work of your own hands, make it through the world?
Yeah, so people that come from upper middle class families, I guess, telling me how things are and how bad things how bad people have it, and then so that's why they vote the Democratic side. I personally, being a recipient of welfare when I was young, I know how it's essentially an enslavement, and I mean, it just keeps people down in shackles, and so I wanted to ask. So that's why I'm getting more involved with politics. But I wanted to ask your opinion on what the fight's going to look like in the next 10, 20 years, and what you would suggest a millennial like myself get involved in, try to read up on. I'm trying to be more involved in my community, et cetera.
Perfect. Hector, thank you so much. Hector, what I want you to do is make sure you go to the site and specifically on the comment section, reach out to Raheem. We want to make sure that we get you more on here.
I'm going to have to start diving into this comment section.
Yeah, because I tell you what, Hector, for the audience out there, Hector is the future of the country. I mean, this is why I keep pointing to Hong Kong. Anybody that dismisses these millennials is making a huge mistake. I happen to think they're going to be a new greatest generation, and here's why. If you look at these wars we've been fighting overseas, and my daughter went to West Point and volunteered and went over there, this generation has fought one of the dirtiest, nastiest wars, and they've never asked for any recognition. They've never asked to say, hey, I'm not, how great am I? They've gone over and they served their country. And you listen to people like Hector. Hector's come up, as an immigrant on the welfare system, as he said, and then, obviously had good parents that taught him good values and worked hard. And this is the future of the country. The fight is going to be about this for the next 10, 20 years. But here's the point. Capitalism has to start working for everybody. Right now, people under 30 are nothing but Russian serfs. You don't own anything, and you're not going to own anything. And the reason is because of the global financial system, and particularly how the elites keep bailing out themselves. I'll get more into this as the show goes on. I think it's one of the backdrops of this impeachment process is that you've had this massive bailout of the global elites. You've had bigger wealth transfer in the last 10 years than any time in world history. And President Obama, the most progressive president in the country's history, socially and culturally, was part of this, is what his Federal Reserve did. And you see these global banks. Right now we're in the global negative interest rates. That's going to have massive consequences for working people. It's one of the reasons that from the streets of Hong Kong to Beirut to Tehran to Chile to other places, you're starting to see people in revolt. So Hector, continue to come to War Room Impeachment. Remember, War Room Impeachment really kicks off the 2020 election season. This is why this thing was started by the radical Democrats, is to kind of, either take President Trump down or scuff him up to make one of the low wattage, low energy crowd they've got on this debate stage be competitive. Although Michael Bloomberg's now in the race, and I happen to think Michael Bloomberg could be a major participant. And one of the reasons is his $100 million in back of those candidates is what shifted this Congress to allow actually to impeach President Trump. Now there's 31 in play. Do we have to take one more call before we go to break?
Yeah, I think we have time. We got Seth on line 1 is in Mississippi. Seth on line 1. Do we have you, sir?
Yes, you do.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Very good. Good morning. First question I have for you, and by the way, thank you guys for what you're doing. I think your presentation is
Seth, we've got about 60 seconds.
Great job.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. You got hit us with a question.
What do you think about the supposed tape or audio dump from the Ukrainian who's being prosecuted? I believe his name is Parnas.
So what do you think about it? I'm more interested in what you think. I know what we think. Tell me what you think about it.
Well, I can't have an opinion until I see something.
So what do you think about Lev? What do you think about Lev? We got to jump here in about 30 seconds. But tell me what you think of Lev Parnas. Is he a guy who looks like a legitimate guy?
No, he seems like a corrupt informant that would be used in an FBI drug case.
Well, why is he's Rudy's client? You got a problem with Rudy having him as a client?
No, although I'd certainly like more information about exactly what the relationship was, but I'm certainly going to take the word of Mayor Giuliani over a corrupt Ukrainian person.
Seth, thank you very much. Seth in
Mississippi. I have more information to dispute.
Thank you, brother. Okay, before we go to break here, Lev Parnas, what do you think of him?
Very strange what's going on with this chap. I do agree with Seth that there has to be some more information here. Lev was hanging around for a very long time. His lawyer is now changing the story time and time again. You heard Rudy on the television over the course of the weekend talking about this, and he can't even figure out what's going on with Lev.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back for another hour on the John Fredericks Radio Network, on America's Voice.news, also Salem Broadcasting and Newsmax TV. This is War Room Impeachment. Please stand by, 888-480-5646. We'll return after a short commercial break.
War Room Impeachment with Stephen K. Bannon, Jason Miller, and Raheem Kassam. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Impeachment, 25 November, year of our Lord 2019, from the Breitbart Embassy, steps away from the Supreme Court, across the plaza from the Capitol. You're right in the middle of the action here on Capitol Hill. John Fredericks Radio Network, Salem Broadcasting Radio Network, America's Voice.news, and Newsmax TV. Our number is 888-480-5646. I want to get to callers. Let's go to Kathleen in Michigan. Kathleen in Michigan, line 4.
Kathleen, do we have you?
Yes, you do.
Okay, you got to cut your radio off. You got to cut your radio off in the background. Okay, we're going to coach up all the callers. Everybody on call. When you call, cut that. Take that radio and put it on mute. How you doing, Kathleen?
I am doing great, Steve Bannon. I am so honored to talk to you.
Well, we're honored. We're honored to have you on here.
First of all, I want to tell you thank you so much for all you've done to get President Trump elected.
Well, hang on a second, Kathleen. It was a team effort. I got to tell you, everybody all the people out there, particularly Michigan. I mean, it was a team. I think we won by 12,000, 15,000 votes. So it was a team effort. All the honor, all the thanks go to you, the deplorables. So thank you very much for pitching in and helping President Trump.
Second of all, I am tired of these people getting away with what they're getting away with. I want to see people go to jail. I want to see Hillary Clinton held accountable. When is she going to be held accountable? When is Devin Nunes? I mean, not Devin Nunes. When is Adam Schiff going to be held accountable?
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Take a deep breath. Why is Hillary Clinton? By the way, our number is 888-480-5646. We're on with Kathleen in Michigan. Kathleen, when you say Hillary Clinton go to jail, I didn't know she was charged with any crimes. Why? What crimes should Hillary Clinton be charged with?
She did exactly what they're trying to say what President Trump did. She did it, and she's getting away with it right now. She's sitting free. She can go, oh, I think I can beat Donald Trump again.
Do you think do you think she's going to come? Do you think? By the way, she didn't beat him the first time. The popular vote doesn't count in the only electoral vote. That's what great states of Michigan came through for us. But Kathleen, do you believe Michael Bloomberg's in the race? You're out in Michigan, which is the battleground of the battleground states. You don't win Michigan, you're not going to be president of the United States. It's that simple. Do you believe that Hillary Clinton is going to come in this race and join the 2020 Democratic primary?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, as far as Michael Bloomberg, I don't know how others feel that voted for Trump, but I'm not buying his shit.
Thank you, ma'am. Kathleen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Kathleen from Michigan. And now we want to go to Belarus. Do we have Richard in Belarus? Is he still on the line?
Richard on line 3 in Belarus, which is right next to Ukraine, I believe. Richard, do we have you?
Line 3. Kathleen, well, thank you very much for joining the call. Now we're going to go to Belarus.
Uh-huh.
Richard, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing great. How can we help you this morning?
Am I talking to Steve?
You're on national radio here in these United States, and you got Steve Bannon, Raheem Kassam, and Greg Manns.
Okay, that's great. I was just want to tell you that I'm a lifelong, born and raised in America in northeastern Kentucky. I was a Navy fighter pilot for 23 years. I'm a great patriot, and I'm in Belarus with my wonderful wife. We're taking care of our elderly parents. We've been married for 20 years. I understand what's going on. I watch every day, every minute of what's going on in that great country. And I just want to tell you what the people here think and what the people in Ukraine, a lot of people from Ukraine are here. And I want to just tell you what they think. And they think, how could this happen? A great president like this, how could it be that he's being drummed out of office? They didn't think this was possible in this country that we are from.
Are they shocked, Richard, that in fact where President Trump has supported Ukraine with actual weapons, anti-tank weapons, the great Javelin anti-tank weapon against the Russian tanks, are they stunned that a guy that could actually, where Obama's gave him blankets and mitten warmers, and President Trump's actually given them things to hold off the Russian invasion. Are they stunned that a president could do that and actually be impeached for
it? Absolutely. They don't know all the details of impeachment and all that stuff. All they know is, what is this? Well, they're trying to run our president out of office. And I'm telling you, they absolutely understand what President Trump is doing, as opposed to the previous administration, to help them put a stop to what's going on in eastern Ukraine. And so they all understand it, and they love every bit of what Trump is doing. And one thing they don't understand is that they don't understand our system. They thought better of our system. and it's hard for us to explain.
Well, Richard, before I let you go, and thank you so much for calling for Belarus, and thank you for listening to the show. Why they made a point the other day when Fiona Hill was up there that the freedom of the Ukrainian people, and particularly this conflict that's in eastern Ukraine because of the Russian invasion, in Crimea also, is in the vital national security interests of the United States. Now, Richard, you've served your country. You're a Navy fighter pilot. You're from eastern Kentucky. Do you believe, and you're now in Belarus with your wife's parents taking care of them, do you believe as a former member of the military service of the United States, do you believe as someone who came from the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and particularly the hill country in the eastern side, do you believe that what's going on in Ukraine is in the vital national security interests of the United States?
I think we may have lost Richard in Belarus there.
Oh, gosh. I had my question I was dying to ask. Okay, do you have Angie in South Alabama?
I believe we still have Angie in South Alabama.
What line?
I just want to comment on
go
that.
ahead, jump in.
Just on that point, Richard calling in from Belarus is quite extraordinary, especially what he said. There are a lot of Ukrainians in Belarus. There are a lot of people out there looking at this.
Why are the Ukrainians in Belarus?
Well, for a plethora of reasons, but this is a former Soviet.
Getting out of the way of the Russians.
Well, perhaps, but this is a former Soviet country that had its independence in the I think it was 1990.
Tell people this is very important. You were there for the revolution. It was called the Maidan Revolution.
The Maidan Revolution. The Euro-Maidan Revolution.
What happened?
And what ended up being called the Revolution of Dignity. And you just look at countries like this, like Belarus, like Ukraine. Belarus has a per capita GDP of about $6,000. These are places that are still recovering from the hangover of Soviet communism, and they're looking at places like the United States, and frankly, Western countries, developed countries, are looking at places like the United States. The United Kingdom, France, Germany look to places like the United States with its constitution, with its checks and balances, all of this stuff. And honestly, I get so many messages on my personal Facebook page from texts from people back in London who are saying, how can this be happening over this phone call and this transcript that got released from the White House? So I totally understand.
Did they still think that after they saw the 2 weeks of public testimony?
Yeah, they absolutely do, because, and it goes back to this NBC opinion piece by Noah Rothman, because the Democrats' process in all this got so convoluted. Remember what we saw coming out, even the polls that showed in the early days of this whole process, even the polls that showed, and back then it was more people in favor of the impeachment process, they still thought the Democrats were handling the process badly. And that has increased, and now we're at this Morning Consult poll. Last week you had the Gallup poll a couple of days ago. People are fundamentally, the Democrats have lost so many people and are continuing to bleed out. That's, by the way, why Joe Biden has this congresswoman going up at 5 a.m. her time in Nevada, going up on CNN, trying to G him back up.
He got an endorsement this morning, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. He got an endorsement from a congressman, and the CNN bills it as a major development, etc., etc.
Breaking news.
But it goes to the point that actually the Democrats are killing off their own candidates in this process. Joe Biden will not, in my estimation, as a Raheem call here, Joe Biden will not last the whole thing. As soon as this goes to a Senate trial, as soon as either his son or him have to sit on that stage, it's over.
888-480-5646 on the John Fredericks Radio Network, America's Voice.news, on the Salem Broadcast Network, and Newsmax TV. Do we still have Angie in South Alabama?
Angie on line 1 in South Alabama. Angie, do we have you?
You do. You got me.
You got Stephen K. Bannon, Raheem Kassam, Greg Manns. What do you got for us?
Well, listen, I'm an elderly Christian conservative from L.A., which is Lower Alabama. And I hate to say this, but you know what? We love our president down here in this farm community that I live in, and we are mad as hell.
What are you mad about? What are you mad about?
We're so mad because of what they're doing to our president. And how in the world did we ever get to this point where that Schiff guy rules the roost up there?
You have, by the way, in Alabama, though, Angie, you've got a Democratic senator. How do you think, is Jones going to vote in the trial, if this thing goes to trial?
Let me tell you something. He won't be here long, because
I don't know what happened, but I think a lot of it came from Birmingham.
Angie, let me ask you, what do you think of Jeff Sessions' chances down there? His Sessions down there. His Jeff Sessions' chances for the Senate against Jones.
No way.
No way, Sessions.
No, he's not. No Sessions. We got Tommy Tuberville and we've got Roy Moore, and they're both going to be very strong on the Republican side.
Tell me why, Coach. Tell me why Coach Tuberville's going to be strong.
Well, because he's very conservative, and because he follows Trump. He likes Trump, and he's a good, solid person. And I believe he would be good. Why
do you think? Why you said you were very upset when you called? What do you think Schiff has done that has not been legal, not been lawful, or not been proper?
Because he has not given the other side, the Republican side, our side, a chance to defend him. I mean, Trump's not allowed to have his people in there, to defend his side or to give his explanation of what happened, even though he gave the call records up. But it's just not being right, and I'm mad about it. I'm tired of them messing with President Trump. It is a mess, and I appreciate what y'all are doing so much, because we've got to fight, and I don't know what the solution is, but.
Well, Angie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you calling. I want to apologize for all our calls being shorter on the. We got to be quick on the trigger. We got so many people backed up trying to get on the board.
We could do this all day long.
But I got to tell you, Angie, you see this urgency and this anger out there building how Schiff's running. So, Raheem, who's next in the hopper?
I'm going to line 2. We got Leslie in Huntsville. Line 2. Leslie, do we have you this morning?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, we're going to stay in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. How you doing, Leslie?
I am great. I just want to ask or say that I think the Democrats are succeeding at exactly what they set out to do, and that is to fill the news cycle and social media with impeachment hearings that they know they can't win, to distract the Republican voters from the primary elections that are coming up and the 2020 election. We've got seats across this country that have no candidates running. We have candidates retiring, and that's exactly what they want.
So walk us through this. This is a brilliant point. This is what we love: insights from callers who are really drilling down. Now, what do you mean by this? What do you mean taking our attention off the primaries? The primaries are not until the spring, correct?
The first primaries are in March. There's over at least 60 of them then, probably 100. But if we're all talking about impeachment and everybody's mad thinking about that, nobody's thinking about candidates. Nobody's thinking that we've got primaries in March, that if our candidates have no funding, they have nobody talking about their name, they're not on TV, we're not hearing anything, then the Democrats come in and they just sweep it up because they're working. They know we're not going to impeach. So they're over there working, doing their stuff for the election while Republicans are distracted with wondering if we're going to have a president in office or not.
Let me ask you, down in Alabama, because it's going to be a critical Senate race down there, how do you think this thing's lining up right now on the Republican side? Your primary's in March. Everybody's in right now. As you see it, how's this thing rolling out?
I think Tommy Tuberville and I would like to say John Merrill has the best chance. If Jeff Sessions comes in, I think that's a mistake. I think he'll divide the vote. I think that we all love Jeff Sessions, but we just think that it's time to get new people in politics.
Angie Leslie in Huntsville, thank you very much. Very insightful call. Let's go to, we're going to go to Spain, back to Europe. We're going to go in line 3, I think it is.
Well, this is incredible, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, we're not just all over the country, from Seattle to Alabama to Texas. We're now international. We've been Belarus, and now we have Mike in Spain. Mike in Spain, how can we help you on War Room Impeachment?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it'd be better if you're not on speakerphone, or you may be on your computer. Either way, it's good enough.
I'm sorry. I'm on my computer. I just called in to let you know that the Spanish public is falling in line behind us.
Well, is this Vox or this? Because the Spanish government, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the socialists won.
I'm not talking about them guys. I'm talking about my neighbors, my friends, and who I see on base.
Okay, well, talk to us about that. What do you mean falling in line? Are they part of the Trump movement? Are they part of the global populist movement?
No, when I bought a house here in Arcos, Spain, and when I first moved in, my neighbors were intrigued that Americans moving in, and they all asked me, "Do you support Trump?" And I said, "Hell yeah!" And I got some bad looks. and since then, that was in 2016, and since then, these people have come to me and said they like Trump, they agree with what he's doing, and they wish they had a president like him.
What do they like when you see this transition from 2016 to 2019, now going into 20? Mike, if you can be specific, what do you think your neighbors who didn't know Trump or did what they heard didn't like, what do they like about him, and what would they like their leaders to take up that he's done?
Probably taking out the regulations, opening up the job market. I mean, I'm going to tell you now, it's hard here. I can't go into it. We'll be here all day. But jobs, socialism, it doesn't work, man. I'm here. I'm an American. I've seen it. And socialism is a killer of jobs. And it just sucks the life out of everybody. But the people here, they have quit watching what the media spews, and they're going online and getting their news like we are here.
Well, Mike,
they're seeing the truth.
Well, hopefully you tell them to listen to War Room Impeachment. I want to thank you for calling in from Spain, and make sure that you're a regular caller here. Mike in Spain. I want to go to Raheem for a second. Spain's an interesting thing. Spain is one of these countries, absolutely beautiful, tremendous resources, great people, great education.
Siestas.
It's a fantastic thing, but it's 50% youth unemployment.
Yeah.
Is it both unlimited immigration, migration, coupled with socialism? Why is Spain not work?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit upon it there. It's welfareism now across Europe is getting to the point where a lot of these countries have no futures. They've got nothing to hand on their children, apart from, as I say, siestas. You've got the same thing happening in Greece. You have the same thing happening in Sweden. They don't have anything to hold on to. They're not seeing anything that they can take and put forward into their future, like what happens or what has typically happened in America. The generations typically have handed on a greater endowment to the next generation, right? And that's just not happening in Europe. And so what's going on? What's the political solution? What's the them solution to this? The political classes is import more cheap labor, artificially inflate the economies. But what it's doing is
have bigger markets.
And have bigger markets. But it's keeping young people out of jobs. You've always said, and you've said for the last couple of years now, the gig economy. This is one of the only things that young people have left to grasp onto is the gig economy. And again, you're seeing it in London.
Is Spain the future of America if we go in the route of AOC and Elizabeth Warren?
I think you'd be very lucky to end up like Spain if you go the route of Elizabeth Warren and AOC. I think Venezuela is more like the future of America if you go that way. I mean, remember, these are not just socialists. AOC specifically, she is an authoritarian style of socialist. That's completely different. That's and you saw it. You mentioned Vox, right? We're not talking about the Ezra Klein news outfit over here in the United States. We're talking about the new political party in Spain, the populist political party that, the socialists won this last election, but Spain has lacked a conservative movement. It has certainly lacked a nationalist populist movement. Vox comes along, founded a couple of years ago, got 58,000 votes in its first thing, and in 2019 got 3.6 million votes.
Much of what you're talking about, the reason we talk about so much international affairs on here is this is inextricably linked. Yeah. Your life is directly affected. One of the most important events in your life, if you're listening to this audience right now, is that election in Hong Kong over the weekend. Because these economies are inextricably linked, and what's happening in Hong Kong is going to ripple back through South Alabama, Eastern Kentucky, and other places. Your parents immigrated from India, correct?
Well, my grandparents from India. My parents from Tanzania.
From Tanzania. Mm-hmm. Grandparents went from India to Tanzania, and then from Tanzania, part of the British Empire, the Commonwealth, to the United Kingdom.
Correct.
But you became one of the great right-wing firebrands in the United Kingdom, where Nigel Farage's right-hand man. You were the head of the War Room. That's why you're here. You actually ran Breitbart London, which was the platform that really helped the Brexit movement. Is the Brexit movement, the United Kingdom, which is the mother country of our country, did they want to break off from Europe because of what they saw in Spain, what they saw in Sweden, what they saw?
Yeah, there's a lot of underlying economic and financial implications of Brexit that people don't really understand. Number one, we are tired of spending circa £80 billion pounds a year, throwing that money away into the European Union's coffers to have it redistributed amongst the political classes and their buddies. The second element of this is that we don't get to set our own monetary policies or taxation policies, or at least if we have, they have had to be in line with European regulations, diktats, trade policy that came directly from Brussels. So all of this stuff you're seeing across Spain and Greece and Italy and in Poland and in Hungary, all of this fight back against the permanent political class, like you're seeing right here in the United States of America, like you saw in Brazil with Captain Bolsonaro, in India with Narendra Modi. This is all from the bottom up.
Remember, in June of 2016, you had Brexit, and then in November, you had Trump. Brexit and Trump are inextricably linked. It's the same working class people in both countries said, we're tired of the permanent political class. We're tired of the elites treating us as that they're our betters and they can tell us what to do. And 3 years later, you see Donald Trump is being impeached by these kind of radical Democrats, and at the same time, the United Kingdom still doesn't have its freedom. They've got another election on December 12th. The nullification project of the City of London, Wall Street, the global corporatists, and their media allies, whether it's the BBC, the Financial Times, etc., is underway. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to return on War Room Impeachment on the John Fredericks Radio Network, on Salem Broadcasting Radio Network, on America's Voice.news, and on Newsmax TV. Our number is 888-480-5646. I want to repeat that, 888-480-5646. I also want to tell everybody that can't get on, just keep calling. You'll eventually get on. And all the callers, please hold. We're trying to get through as many as possible here on War Room Impeachment. Stephen K. Bannon, Greg Manns, Raheem Kassam. We're going to return after a short commercial break.
Bannon, Miller, Kassam. War Room Impeachment.
On the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Welcome back to War Room Impeachment from the Breitbart Embassy. It's 25 November, year of our Lord 2019. You're on episode 47 on the John Fredericks Radio Network, the Salem Broadcasting Radio Network, America's Voice.news, and Newsmax TV. We're doing callers. We've done callers for the last hour, doing callers for this hour. I want to welcome Mary Ann from Delaware. Mary Ann from Delaware, you're on War Room Impeachment. How can we help you, ma'am?
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for taking my call. My point that I wanted to try to put across is how, with the way Trump won the election, and this is just boggling my mind, and the landslide victory that we had with the Electoral College, Pennsylvania going strong for Donald Trump, how did 31 districts turn and go Democrat when he didn't even do anything wrong and he was already putting us on the right track? How do we get the word out? What were these people thinking? Why did they not connect the dots the way?
Well, you tell me, Mary Ann, you're a voice we know from many years on the Breitbart radio show. You're very astute. You stay on top of things. You tell me. That's not a question for me to answer. You answer. You tell me what you think.
Well, first of all, I think our colleges...
Tell me. Those are districts that Obama won twice, that Trump won in 16. These are districts that people are looking for change in the system. That's why they voted for Obama. They didn't think he delivered. They voted for Donald Trump in 16. And in 18, 31 of them flipped back. And this is why he's impeached. Michael Bloomberg put $100 million in the 25 of those 31. This is a guy that knows how to apply capital. Whatever you think of Bloomberg, understand he's a brilliant businessman. He put $100 million. He was one that he and Soros were the guys in back of flipping those districts, and he knew it was going to be a weapon for Nancy Pelosi. I think certain people, including Paul Ryan in the leadership of the Republican Party in the House, took their eye off the ball in this regard. But why do you think they flipped, Marianne?
First of all, it has to be. First of all, I think they believe the mainstream media. Why, I don't know, but I think they did, and I think the ads and the pressure, because they are the Praetorian Guard that completely, utterly defends the Democratic Party. They are the left They are the arm of the Democratic Party. So I think that is a huge obstacle that we definitely have.
Why do you think? Why do you think the? Why do you think that? Why do you think the media is the opposition party media? Why do you say that?
Because every single one of them are a leftist. They are a leftist. They went to a lot. Many of them went to leftist elitist schools, which brainwash you to become a leftist. And three, there's so many different. They're so connected with, Chuck Todd worked or is married to somebody in the Democratic Party. There's all these different connections. You have a lot of Obama people that now work for Google and Facebook.
Delaware, you're from Delaware, correct?
I'm from Delaware.
Delaware has put Joe Biden in the U.S. Senate since, 1980, whatever, when he was 29 years old. He was even too young to hold the office. He had his birthday afterwards. You're from a state that's put Joe Biden up for 40 years. Is Joe Biden going to be competitive with Donald Trump?
No, and there's not one sign in this state that I have seen. If anything, you're going to laugh. There's two huge billboard signs of Trump 2020. One on the main highway going down to the beach, and another one that goes down to Maryland. Huge. I mean, the leftists must almost want to go. I'm waiting for someone to go off the road and end up in the.
Do you think that Hunter Biden and Senator Biden? I called for Senator Biden and Hunter to be called 3 weeks ago on the Maria Bartiromo show. I did it again yesterday. That Joe Biden should testify if it comes to a trial in the Senate. Why? Why do you say that? Why?
Because why do I say that? Because they were corrupt in what they did. There's that video that shows that he.
Marianne, if Joe Biden's so corrupt, why do good folks? Delaware's got a lot of good people up there, right, including you. Why the people? If he's so corrupt, why do they keep sending him back to the U.S. Senate?
Well, first of all, Steve, I don't think a lot of them have. Again, they don't have the information. He's really painted here amongst the liberals as a really kind, loving man. He really is painted that way, and I have tried my best, to show them the other side. And that former caller from Maryland, that whole area up Newcastle County is all liberal. Kent County and Sussex County did not vote. If you look at the numbers, he only lost by 10 points, Trump. That's really not bad for his.
Okay, Marianne, we got to bounce, but I've got one last question, and I mean this seriously.
Sure.
As someone from Delaware, is the corn pop story in your mind real, or did he make it up?
He made it up.
Thank you, Marianne in Delaware. Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller on America's impeachment. Marianne has been a listener of ours for many, many years. Let's go to Kansas City. Do we still have Lyndon in Kansas City on, Raheem?
We do. Line 2, Lyndon in Kansas City.
Lyndon in Kansas City. How can we help you, sir?
Yeah, great. I just love what you guys are talking about, and I have kind of a comment and then a bit of a question following that. So the comment is that I see this going the same way you guys do, but I think it might be even worse.
Hold on. What do you mean? What do you mean the way we guys do?
Sure.
Well,
just in the sense that the House votes to impeach, and then the Senate gets to have their go and their chance.
Do you believe right now, is everything you've seen, you've started seeing polling, Raheem and Greg and Jack and others doing a great job in deconstructing this polling, which is so important. Do you believe as we're going into Thanksgiving week, and trust me, the people in the United States of America on Thursday are going to have a national discussion around the dinner table. They're going to discuss what's going on. Given everything that you've seen, Lyndon, how do you think that discussion is going to go?
Well, it's funny. I'll be driving to Denver Wednesday, and I'll be with one very liberal sister and her family, and the other. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fireworks. But really, it's going to be very frank from my end of it. I think the liberal sister and her family, it's going to be all about the bubble that they're living in. They're watching CNN.
Well, let's talk about the bubble. What is the bubble? You obviously love your sister, but tell us about the bubble she lives in.
Well, she buys every single company line you can think of from the and I haven't talked to her about the impeachment bit, but I'm talking about Trump, and they all know that I voted for him and I supported him from the beginning. I'm also an academic, so you can imagine that.
Oh man!
Right?
The fact you have a lot of conversations in the faculty lounge, no doubt.
Well, right. Maybe one conversation, and then the grapevine went out. But I had the president of my university the week before the election 2016, he sat down a dozen of us, and I was sitting to his right side. He went from his left all the way around clockwise to me. Everybody said Hillary's got this, and I was the only one that said, nope, Trump's got it in the bag. They all thought it was nuts. I had people coming up to me weeks later, Lyndon, you're a genius. I thought you were Flake when you said that. How'd you know? I said, well, I'm listening to different things than you guys are listening to, and I hang out with different people.
So what do they, okay, but here's the thing. Your sister and that group, what do they listen to? Yep. What do they read? And why are these people who are good people and they have plenty of smarts, why are they so wrong so much of the time?
I think Scott Adams, I don't know if any of you listen to him, but I think, what he's into and the podcast that he does every day, I think he's on to something big there. His new book, I'm not promoting it, I haven't even read it, but Loser Think. I think that whole idea that most people just kind of take whatever the media feeds them and they work from there. They don't, and you talked about the Socratic method. A lot of people don't drill down and like, well, where'd you get that premise? So even they're hearing the stuff from Schiff and from his team.
So we got to bounce, but would you sit at that on the long drive to Denver? What are the 2 or 3 points for your sister who you love and you want to help her make sure she understands the world in a rational way? What are the 2 or 3 points that you make?
Well, I think I'm going to use the Scott Adams technique, and you talked a little bit about the show I'm not going to watch, but that's, what was it called, All Lies or Pack of Lies?
Why won't you watch that?
Because I feel like I can already predict what's going to happen there. But he's obviously using what Adams refers to as the laundry list technique, where it's like, hey, here's the 30 lies we're going to go through, and what Adams says, and I think is a great technique, and I'll try it on Thanksgiving, is give me your one biggest issue. What's the thing about Trump that really bothers you the most, or what do you think he did that was illegal? What's the one big thing that he did that's proven that you can point to? And I'll hear them out, but if I'm not going to listen to a laundry list of 30 things.
Lyndon, we got to bounce, but thank you so much, and say hi to your sister. I hope she starts to listen and have a great Thanksgiving. This is going to happen throughout the country. Our number is 888-480-5646. Lyndon brought up something we try to do. We try to perfect in the old radio show. We're going to try to ratchet up here. That's the Socratic method. Remember, the way you learn is the way Socrates taught you, which is always question, answer, question the premise, drill down. Remember, what did President Trump say a couple of weeks ago? Unity and substance. The substance was the more granularity you have, the deeper you dive down into the situation, the more you realize it is as Peter Navarro said, it's the Seinfeld impeachment, which is about nothing. Raheem, who do we have next?
It's an impeachment about nothing.
It's an impeachment about nothing. Who do you? And I'm not saying that just because I own a piece of Seinfeld. I know that upsets Larry David and the liberals, but hey, it is what it is.
I want to take a moment to refer people back to warroom.org.
Perfect.
And make sure also when, if you support this show, if you're calling into this show, if you're listening to this show, if you like this show, number one, share it as far and wide as possible. It's not hard to do. Send a text, send an email, etc., etc. But more important to us, get on the podcast on any podcast platform. Type in War Room Impeachment. Hit that subscribe button. Steve, we just had a big Michael Bloomberg ad airing on CNN on the television screen behind you. Nice big flashy advertisement. It looked pretty slick, and like you said, this man knows how
yesterday, it was very slick. He owns Bloomberg Media. Trust me, he knows what he's doing.
At some point, we have to get into that because this is going to cause all sorts of problems for Bloomberg News.
Well, they actually announced yesterday they're not going to investigate, and they're only going to report like he's at a distance. But it's a question. It's one of the great business news services out there.
Yeah.
And they've done a very good job on politics, but they're in a tough situation.
Does this guy start to eat Joe Biden's lunch?
Listen, we'll have to see. Look, he's got a quantity has a quality all its own, and he's got a quantity of capital.
Yep.
He's worth $50 billion. He is, I've heard, committed to put $2.5 billion into the primary. That means he doesn't. Now, here's the interesting thing: he can't be in any of the debates. Because the Democratic debates are based upon, one is polling, but it's also number of small donors.
Yes.
So Bloomberg will essentially not be on any debate stages unless he does something with the gun organization. And people in NRA will tell you that gun organization he built up is tough. Is Ken in Pennsylvania still on?
Ken in Pennsylvania is on. We also have Patrick in San Diego. Which one would you prefer?
Let's take Ken in Pennsylvania and then Patrick. Well, San Diego will come right back to you. Ken in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry for the call quality. First of all, great show.
Thanks.
I agree with you. Your point. The point I'm trying to make is that the Democrats have been using this process of gaslighting weakening and dividing.
Okay, hang on, Ken, hang on for a second. Explain to the audience what gaslighting is. A major concept. Explain what you think gaslighting is.
I believe that gaslighting is telling people what they are experiencing that is, in effect, different from what the people really are experiencing. Like telling somebody, "Yo, you're getting shorter and shorter. I notice you're shorter." That person isn't shrinking, but that's the gaslighting that I believe the Democratic Party has been using.
So what are they doing in gaslighting? Take that to the Democratic Party. How are they doing it, and what are they doing?
They're using the people for the impeachment process, Adam Schiff. They're using Nancy Pelosi. They're using Chuck Schumer to tell people what to believe. They're using other representatives like AOC, the Squad of Four, whoever those people are that are delivering messages to people to make them believe their point of view.
Do you believe this is an information war?
I absolutely do. And they're using this information to weaken and divide people, especially in purple states like here in Pennsylvania, those 31 districts, in order to get the resulting elections and the future elections so that the Democrats, can stay in power. And the only thing we can use in our warfare is to use the same processes they are using at the same time to inform, strengthen, and unify the people. Because
how do we do that, Ken? How do we do that?
Well, how do we do that? We do that with your show. We do that with news. We do it with the internet, because and we do it in such a way that the people that are concerned with it, the normal everyday people, are worried about or concerned about their faith, their family, and their freedoms. We go to church, we go to work, we worry about our kids, our education, our parents are sick. You know, we're in the middle. We're worried about all this. I'm 54. I understand all these things. So we have to get people to somehow get concise messaging out from the Republican Party that flies in the face of this gaslighting that the MSN, the mainstream media, is using on everybody, especially in times of the holiday season, where CNN's putting this this show on. That's
all the President's Lies by Jake Tapper. Let me ask you, what part of Pennsylvania do you live in?
I'll call it right of center. I am about 20 miles east of Harrisburg. So,
okay,
Republican area.
In that area of the country right now, who's winning? Is the Democrats' messaging and media war winning, or is the information about President Trump? Is the information war of President Trump winning?
I'll tell you, I can't tell. In this purple state, people in this area are holding things close to their vest because we have a Democratic governor, and the MSM, the media is all around, and people are holding things close to their vest because they don't know. If they feel like they're being gaslighted and they're worried about their faith, their family, and their freedoms, they might just say, well, I'll use my vote when voting time comes around.
Ken, thank you very much. Ken in Pennsylvania, great call. Gaslighting, it's a Hitchcock film. It's a famous film that got the whole concept. He kept telling the woman, I think she was sick, or a fantastic film, but that's become a concept, Raheem, in modern information and political warfare, has it not?
I want to throw this one to Greg. Greg, it's a Gaslight the film.
Yeah, it's Gaslight film. Who's it by?
Patrick Hamilton's 1938 film.
This really took off, over the last couple of years as it pertains to the Me Too movement and women's empowerment, especially women who have been abused, and it found its way into popular nomenclature. I've heard it in politics now for a couple of years, and I think it's an accurate way of describing what happens out there. I mean, this show, All the President's Lies, that's coming out. I mean, this is a primary opportunity for the Democrats. They've got people's attentions on Thanksgiving. You're going to be sat there. Maybe you want to avoid talking to a certain family member, you want to plonk yourself in front of the television. This is what CNN's going to be showing.
By the way, the last three calls, Marion in Delaware, Linden in Kansas City, and Ken in Pennsylvania, the types of calls, this is what we try to do. You come in, you got to be able to defend your position. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. You got to be ready, on your feet, on the trigger, and you got to be able to hit a fastball.
Yeah.
But those are fantastic. You gave it. All three of us gave us concept. They backed it up with analysis. This is why we had the show on fire for many, many years. That this is your show. We provide the news, you provide the opinion. Let's go to who we have in San Diego.
Well, we've got Patrick in San Diego on line 1, and then we want to make sure we go to John Fredericks in Richmond, Virginia on line 4.
Okay, fine. Let's go to Patrick in San Diego first.
Hey, Steve, this is Patrick in San Diego. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. We're out here listening.
Well, thanks, brother. I love San Diego. I used to live in I was at station at 32nd Street, and I lived on the ship, my destroyer on 32nd Street, but eventually I was able to go over to Coronado and get a place there. So I love San Diego, one of the great towns in America.
Oh, yeah. I had a question about Trump and infrastructure. On election night, it seems like as the clock winds down, Democrats find votes. Like I remember in Florida, they delayed and they just continually were finding votes. And do we have the infrastructure like at these polling sites so there's none of that chicanery where
Patrick,
it's a fair vote. It's a fair vote.
Patrick, thank you so much. Great call. I tell you what, it's one of the emphasis. I think the RNC and other people with the campaign, this election ballot security, making sure there's a true count, making sure there's an accurate count, making sure people are registered and actually are registered voters. Patrick, it's going to be a huge issue.
I think it's a massive issue all across the world, actually.
All across the world.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Patrick, I think in the run-up to 2018, this is a caller that's identified something I think is going to be a big issue. And I tell you, the other side's paying attention to it.
Yeah, we have this voter ID stuff going on in Britain now as well.
The voter ID thing is a big deal. Tell us about Britain. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, there is just a big push towards voter ID now. We've had so many incidences over the last couple of years, especially in East London, where there's a big Pakistani Bangladeshi community, where the mayor for Rama had been convicted of voter fraud and getting all these people. So now
you can't scratch you too deep and get an Indian guy, right? You got to go after the poor Pakistanis.
Somebody said that to me in Martin's Tavern last night.
No, I was going to say you can't. Boy, your grandparents would be very proud.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's go. We're going to go to actually John Fredericks. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. John's down in Richmond, my hometown. John, how are we doing okay today?
Love being in Richmond, Steve. I just got to tell you, I love what you're doing today. You guys have done a fantastic job. I got to tell you how many calls we've had. We've had over 500 missed calls. I'm sorry about that. But the phone is just lit up like a Christmas tree, the way you guys are handling it. This is something you want to be able to do because this is the opportunity to actually get the deplorables, our Trump base, involved in the process, Steve. I want to thank you for spending the 2 hours today and getting everybody involved.
No, John, thank you so much for making this happen. As Raheem could tell you, I could take calls for 9 hours. I mean, they used to give me grief over at the when we had the Breitbart show and I had victory sessions in L.A. But here's the thing: it's not just for the deplorables. We obviously want Trump. This is to have a sense of urgency, for the Trump voters. But we also want independents. We want Democrats. We particularly want people who are coming to this kind of information for the first time. We want you to call. Want you to challenge us. Want you to give your observations. When we do these call-ins, we're out there, John, to try to get as many voices as possible. You know, one of the sponsors we got is called AmericaVoices.news. I love that whole concept. The way I'm a huge believer in democracy, and you fight these things out at the ballot box, and you do that by arguing. And John, I think what's so great about the timing of all this is that the nation's about to have a family conversation, family and friends this week, as we all break for the holiday season, and we're going to be here every day. So you just caught in on the John Fredericks Radio Network at 9 a.m. every day. You're still going to get War Room Impeachment. But as people have this conversation, it's very important to have the facts and very important to express your views. So, John, I want to thank you so much. We've got about a minute left here. So much for making this happen.
Steve, thank you. And my only comment is Michael Bloomberg is going to spend $20 million on voter registration for his campaign in 5 key battleground states that have nothing to do with him winning the primary or being the nominee. Comment on that.
Well, John, Bloomberg's a smart guy. He's always thinking downrange. One of the reasons the president's being impeached because Bloomberg thought to put $100 million of his own money to win those seats. So, John, thank you so much for being on. We got to jump on your radio network. War Room Impeachment will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Salem Broadcast, America's Voice.news, and Newsmax TV. Also, go to warroom.org right now.